Hello and welcome to episode 89 of the HamCorp Training Manual. In this episode, we will craft the Mega EBF and Mega Vacuum Freezer. Several employees have contacted me, claiming that a warning from the future was sent to them, foretelling the horrors of HamCorp's limitless exploitation. To that we say exploitation is a bad word, and we prefer the word growth. Think of the shareholders and how happy it would make them. Now it's time to populate this place. And I've already made the Mega Chemical Reactor. I think I'll skip the Mega Distillation Tower for now. But the Mega Vacuum Freezer and the Mega Blast Furnace are two things I can make. And remember, these have 256 parallels and they accept GregTech hatches. The best hatch I can make right now is a 64 amp ZPM energy hatch. And that will allow me to do LUV recipes with 256 parallels. That's pretty good. Now, I don't know what the best division of labor is here because I get an EU discount by using the Vulcanus, but this is so much faster. So I don't know what recipes I should do in the Mega EBF versus what recipes I should do in the Vulcanus. I'm kind of thinking recipes that are pretty cheap, like the Vulcanus is what? 90% EU usage, so I save 10%. If 10% is not a significant amount, then I may as well do it in the Mega EBF. But if it is a significant amount, then it might be worth doing in the Vulcanus. But the question is, what does significant amount mean? I'll think about it some more while I'm actually crafting this thing, because this needs a lot of coils. And I could make the Electrum Flux coils, and they are cheaper than Trinium coils, but it needs a UV assembler. I don't have UV energy hatches, but I can make the large-scale auto assembler, which is a multi-block assembler. This one looks like this. It's not the one that I have already. This one is best used for cases where you want to overclock it to a voltage tier that you haven't unlocked yet, which is exactly what I need right now. So I can put 2 ZPM energy hatches on this and then do my craft like that. But this thing, I think all of these parts are okay, but I need molten Piconium 64B. And this stuff needs ytterbium dust, which I'm not totally sure how to get. I think ancient granite is probably my best way for getting this. I only need 1 ytterbium dust, so I need 29 ancient granite, and ancient granite I can get from dehydrating rare earth 2. So hopefully I have enough rare earth to do this, but I need 29 times 9 rare earth 2, which is not that much, so this should be doable. So first up, I'm going to make that UV assembler. Oh man, this is gonna take a while. So each coil block takes 55 seconds, and every set of 4 wires, because of my Vulcanus setup, is going to take 42 divided by 2.2 seconds. So all in all, to make my 864 coil blocks, I have to make 6,912 fluxed electrum ingots. The coil box is going to take 12 hours-ish. The wire is going to take 12 hours-ish. And I think I just barely don't make enough power to do both at the same time. So I'm going to start by making a bunch of the wire. And as that's going, I'm going to expand my power generation a little bit. Just really simply by adding some more combustion gens. Maybe I'll add a second turbo gas turbine, extra large gas turbine, because I do have an excess of nitrobenzene right now. But man, this is a long craft and it consumes pretty much all my power, so I can't really do anything else on the side. Well, guess I get to play another game. Now, as part of making the fluxed electrum dust, I do need infused gold dust, which we just got from IO, I think, and a bunch of other dusts, all of which are not too bad to get. Well, the next time you see me, I will have fluxed electrum coils, unless I run into some other issue along the way. Oh my god. It's done. It gets me an enchanted ZPM loot bag. Let's see what I get. Polycrase ore. What is this? Seems like dog shit from looking at what the tooltip says. Now that the coils are done, I just need to get the rest of the stuff, including the glass blocks. And I think the glass tier limits the energy input tier. Okay, so I need ZPM glass, and that is iridium reinforced borosilicate glass. I need 1,007 of these, and each one is going to take me 40 seconds. Well, a bit faster. And 40,000 seconds is another 11 hours. Be back in a bit. Guess what, employees? This used to be my oil rig, and I've dug it up. Why, you may ask? Finally, after almost 2,000 hours, I have depleted the oil field. It lasted a long time, and the liquid that I have stored up is going to last me a long time. But I really should move this just to be safe. Then again, this might also be a sign that I need to switch off of oil and go for better power solutions, like fusion. So I think I'm going to force myself to do that. So hopefully, the oil I have stored up is enough to get me to that point. If I wanted to be wise, I would just set up the oil rig in a new spot and investigate fusion anyway. But I like a bit of time pressure. Not that it's a lot of pressure, because I have so much fuel to go through. Anyway, back to making my ZPM glass. And here are nearly all of the items needed to build the Mega EBF. I'm missing some input buses, input hatches, output bus, output hatch. But I have my 64 amp energy hatch, I have my heat-proof casings, my ZPM glass, my electron flux coils, and the controller itself. Now, this is a lot of blocks. I've been asked many times along this journey why I don't use the multi-block structure hologram projector, and that's because I like to place block. Now, you've seen me do showcasing flybys of machines before, but that one felt kind of weak. There's a reason. I'm not done with this yet, so I'll give you a much better flyby later on. But for now, this thing is so large and has so much space for input buses and hatches, I'm so excited. I also used an LUV muffler hatch because I think it's worth it here. Usually I just do LV muffler hatches because I don't care. But the pollution has really been starting to get to me. And this thing makes a lot of pollution. 102,400 pollution per second. So cutting that down to 37% is a pretty big deal. It's like having 64 blast furnaces, but instead of 64, it's 37% of that. I realized while I was building this and while I was gathering materials, one, that I need the mega vacuum freezer, because I don't think my cryogenic freezers are going to be able to keep up with the number of hot ingots this produces. And that will actually bottleneck this, because I currently have it set up so that all hot ingots go into my cryogenic freezers. So if that input bus becomes full, things are going to build up and it's going to back up. Second, the energy cost here is quite large, and I've been thinking about how I want to divide the recipes between Vulcanus versus this. And because this is a 64 amp ZPM energy hatch that I'm using on this multi, I can do LUV crafts up to 256 parallels. And so basically everything up to LUV is going to be done in this mega blast furnace. And I had a look at all the LUV blasting recipes and the energy costs, the total energy costs, because I figured actually 256 of the most expensive ones might potentially even be larger than my total buffer. And on top of that, my Tesla tower right now is only doing 16 amps of ZPM. So I need to upgrade that to 64, and probably even more, because if I make it 64, the only thing that can run is my blast furnace, and everything else has to wait, or stall, or, shut down due to power loss, and that's not okay. And that leads me to another kind of failsafe I want to add. Why are these blocks here? They're not supposed to be here. Anyway, that leads me to my last kind of failsafe that I want to have in this room, and that is another Lapatronic supercapacitor. But this one is going to have a lot of capacity, because it's going to be powering multiple mega multi-blocks. Now I could make these ZPM Lapatronic capacitors, but they are quite expensive and quite slow to make. These energy modules in an assembly line, they need 8 Lapatronic energy orb clusters, and those themselves are at this point pretty expensive for me. On top of that, 2 stacks of advanced stock wafers, 4 ZPM circuits. Yeah, this is a lot. So I've decided for now to just go for the LUV capacitors. These are significantly cheaper, and I can make quite a few of these, and in fact, I already have. I will say though that the ZPM ones have 10 times the capacity, but I will also say that later I can recycle the LUV ones if I want. Recycling it will lose the osmiridium frame boxes, but it is what it is. I've already made 5 LUV capacitors. I think I'll make another 4, and then I'll set up an LSC, just a really small one, but it will have enormous capacity compared to what I have around the base right now. I'll also make sure to upgrade my Tesla tower so I can do, let's say, 80 amps of ZPM, which is far, far more than I can produce. So I need to be pretty careful with my power consumption. So probably after setting up the mega factory, I'm going to figure out power. Don't forget, I am under time pressure. I don't have infinite hog. Right, the supercapacitor is done, the Tesla tower has been upgraded, and this supercapacitor has been fitted with a 16x superconductor ZPM wire. Because I figure if I'm running multiple mega blast furnaces or just multiple mega multi-blocks in general, and they're all running off of 64 amps of ZPM, I need very high amperage to keep up with that. And I think this is the highest amperage I can get at ZPM. I'm currently also crafting up vacuum freezers and frost-proof machine casings, so I can make the mega vacuum freezer as well. And in the meantime, I'm trying to figure out exactly how I want to decorate this thing, because you can place things inside. Well, I don't know if that's exactly true. This may have to all be air inside. I haven't actually checked. In fact, I could probably check right now. Let me put some dirt inside and see if the structure is still formed. Oh, it's incomplete now. That's depressing. I thought it would be really, really funny to put my vulcanite inside here, but I guess that's not possible. Okay, so all the logistics will have to go on the outside. That's okay, but I need to figure out how I'm going to arrange my input buses. Maybe I need to make changes to my setup because of 256 parallels. I don't know. I'll see. But one thing I do need to be careful about is what recipes I put in here. I mentioned this before, and basically if 256 times a recipe cost is larger than the buffer here, then that's a problem. And also just running this for too long is also a problem, because if that buffer depletes, this will shut down and void 256 times whatever I was crafting. So I think I'm going to do kind of an RS latch setup similar to the power building, but instead of turning things on, I will turn things off. So if the power level drops below some threshold that I'll think about some more, then all the mega multis can get turned off. And if something is crafting while this happens, that's fine, because crafts will continue to completion if you turn the machine off while it's going. It just won't initiate a further craft, which is exactly the behavior I want. And that is indeed why I gave this such a large capacity, 30 billion. Besides that, I also made the mega chemical reactor before, and I think I'm going to make maybe a few more, but I'll just place the first one for now. And I really need to figure out a system for that avoids recipe conflicts, because those are the bane of my existence right now. Every time I make polyphenylene sulfide or epichlorohydrin, something just breaks and everything gets clogged, and I have to come manually fix it, and it's very, very annoying. But I did it to myself. I shouldn't have tried to overcharge this single LCR with that many recipes. I'm gonna let these finish, and then we can set everything up, hook everything up, and figure out where to put my applied energistics cables. I am still waiting on some more superconductor wire so I can set up the mega chemical reactor. But I realized I'm actually going to need more 64 amp dynamo hatches on this thing, because each one of these is going to have a 64 amp energy hatch. So it's not impossible that they're all going to be running at the same time. every now and then. So I do need to be able to power them all at the same time, even though that's hopefully going to be a relatively rare situation. I also decided I'm going to put the mega chemical reactor here in the shed. It's a smaller space, and the mega chemical reactor is a smaller multi-block. So I think this is a good place to have multiple. And as for automating turning these on and off, I have set up a system similar to before, but it's not a latch. It's basically just a signal, and that's it. So when this is below 80% of its capacity, it stops outputting a signal. When it's above 80%, we output a signal, it goes to a wireless transmitter, and the wireless receiver turns on the mega vacuum freezer. However, for the mega EBF, you actually can't place red alloy wire on these glass blocks. It doesn't work. I don't think it's actually possible to use the wireless receiver and red alloy wire to turn this thing on and off. So I had to look into a different way to do this, and what I've come up with is using redstone receivers. These are covers, and there are 4 versions. Well, actually kind of even more than that. 2 sets. There's the advanced and the basic. I'm using the basic. I don't know the difference because I didn't make the advanced because I didn't need to. But the way this works is you set a frequency. This is separate from this frequency. And this is a redstone receiver internal. The 4 variants are redstone receiver internal and external, and redstone transmitter internal and external. What internal does is it applies the redstone signal to the block that it's attached to, or it, transmits the redstone signal from the block it's attached to. And what external does is it applies the signal to the block that it's facing, or it takes in the signal from the block that it's facing. So here I want to apply the signal to the controller itself. So this is an internal receiver. And over here I have an iron frame box. I couldn't get it to work by putting it on this controller itself, so I had to put a frame box here. And on the bottom here I have a transmitter external. This is external because I'm sending the signal from the block it's attached to, not from the block itself. So external transmitter with a cable leading into it, and an internal receiver on the multi-block itself. To be honest, I should probably start using these covers more because they take up less space and they're pretty compact. I should probably replace this wireless setup with just a cover. And I should probably do that elsewhere in the base too. But for now, I'm just going to wait for these cables to finish and bring the wire all the way up here. Yeah, you can probably see why I'm waiting for cables to finish, because I need a lot of cables. And then I will set up all of the recipes and stuff, and then we can continue on to the Tier 6 rocket. Thank you for watching this episode of the HamCorp Training Manual. In the next episode, we will continue to make the Tier 6 rocket, and hopefully craft our first neutronium and americium ingots. After that, we will look at ways to scale up power generation before entering UV. I sure hope the insane pollution from the Mega EBF has no long-lasting, unforeseen consequences. See you next time.